বোধহয় until 7:30, তো আমার রাফ হিসেবে মনে হচ্ছে about 12-13 মিনিট বা ম্যাক্সিমাম 15 মিনিট পর্যন্ত পার পার্সন কথা বলতে পারেন।
একজন নেপালি একজন বাংলা হয়তো বলতে পারেন।
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে। We also have a foreign participant from Nepal, so maybe we can speak in English. Uh, so let us start off. So আমরা the the juncture that we are in now today in Bangladesh, we are faced with major challenges. We are in a critical juncture, বলা যায়. Partly these are external challenges and as well as domestic challenges. এবং আমরা জানি যে apart from the problem of climate change and sea level rise and resource degradation, uh, we have other factors that impinge on food security. Because when we talk about climate, we have to really talk about food security in its larger sense. And when you do that, you understand that given the growing protectionism across the world and the particular nature of food and agriculture, this has a very direct impact on our policies and practical action. In terms of challenges that we all know about, apart from resource degradation, we have every year a lot of land is shifting out of agriculture. We have a lot of salinity in incursion, up to, I don't know, I think according to one estimate, 26,000 hectares are being affected by salinity every year, and already 1 million hectares have been impacted. And due to sea level rise, we could lose up to 17% of our land. So these are huge challenges. But on the positive side, we have done well with agriculture, despite all the challenges that we faced earlier in the earlier generation of our struggle with the Green Revolution. Which is why we often also refer to this as the paradox, because despite all those critical constraints, we emerged out of a situation where we did become roughly self-sufficient in food. Of course, now self-sufficiency is not enough. We need food security, which also means food safety. And also the fact that we continue to depend hugely on agriculture. 40% of employment, 75% of households depend on agriculture, directly or indirectly. 70% of our daily calorie intake depends on agriculture. So agriculture actually, despite the fact that we have become industrialized, agriculture remains a very, very important part of our economic life. So we have, as I said, we have 8, 9 presentations, and maybe just by way of providing a few guidelines in terms of what perhaps we can get out of this session. One thing that I think we should consider, I urge all the participants to think about this, that we cannot continue to think of food security in a traditional sense, devoid of national security. I think food security must become part of national security, and we need to reconceptualize our national security ideas in terms of including food security as a very important and dynamic component of that understanding. We have to think of how can we make our agricultural systems more resilient. And we know that there are various innovations, various technical solutions, various smart solutions out there. We hear a lot of talk about all these things. But question is, how do we expand their usage? How do we expand their adoption? What are the constraints that are preventing it? Are those the correct solutions in the first place? And for the longer term, we need to think of how we can balance our immediate needs of our farmers, of our consumers, with our long-term sustainability goals and ambitions. So those are some of the things that you perhaps might consider while you're making a presentation. So without further ado, let me now, I'll just go straight through my list as it is given to me. And let me start with Dr. Muhammad Sakawat Hussain, Director, Sustainable Economic Development, Friendship NGO. The floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon to you all. This is Shakawat. I am talking about on behalf of Friendship NGO. At first, I would like to know a small introduction of our NGO. This is an international social purpose organization. It's work in the holistic approach. We have 4 pillars, say like savings life, poverty elevation, climate adaptation, and empowerment. Yeah, for these 4 pillars, we have 6 sectors. Just I introduce our NGO at first. Sectors means health, education, climate adaptation, sustainable economic development, inclusive citizenship, and cultural preservation. Yeah, we are working in the very remote area, hard to reach area, where extension facilities rarely, it's very much challenging. So there is the lack of extension facilities, especially we are working in the Ribaran area, Chor area, drought-prone area. Yeah, this is the things. And what we are doing for the food security, we are forming the farmers club. This is the heart of our activities. With the farmer clubs, we have the different kinds of activities. Say like we have the bi-monthly session we conducting, where we train the farmers about the climate smart agriculture, and we provide different kinds of input support and also the market linkage. Through these activities, we are trying to improve their livelihood. Yeah, and there is the huge challenge. Especially in the Ribaran and Ceylon area, every year, the temperature is climate is changing, so temperature increasing, salinity intrusion occur. Say like all of you know the different kinds of pest and disease increasing day by day, and also there is the problem of the food safety. These things, and also here we are work about the in the holistic approach. So we are taking care of the One Health. So not only the taking care of the human health, we are also, when we conducting any kind of training or any kind of activity, we are focusing on the One Health. So we are taking care of the soil health for the climate smart agriculture. We are taking care of the environmental health, and animal health. For the animal health, we trained a lot of animal health. We develop a lot of animal health worker. They are remaining in their locality, and say they are nursing their livestock, and there are different kinds of housing, of the animal husbandry practices, and they are also provide the vaccination campaign, and also aware of the zoonotic disease. And also we have the health care facilities. For the human health care facilities, we have the different kinds of paramedic, and for our health program, this is the large program, and also we develop the friendship community Medicaid. Through this Medicaid, we also provide different kinds of service. Yeah. And for the food security activities, Friendship right now working in the Northern Chor coastal area, Northern Chor mainly Gaibandha, Kurigram district, Shirazganj and Bogora district. And coastal area, we have activities in the Khulna, Satkhira, Potokali districts. Potokali, and also we are working in the Nokhali area in the Hatia, and also in the Coxbazar district. We have the different kinds of activity. And our main challenge is when we goes with the different kinds of new things, the adoption rate is the very minimal, so it's the challenging. And women farmer have the lack of adoption rate, and another problem is their decision making power is less. So I think when we empower the women, and we have the special focus on the women farmers, so that we can improve their livelihood, and also it also contributes the national GDP as well, as because the most of our farmers in Bangladesh, most of the farmers are the small holders. They have the lack of land, they have the lack of resource powers, and only 17% of our farmer who have the almost 47% of land. So if you
can you start concluding, please? Can you start concluding?
Yeah. So we need to focus on the women focus, I mean the gender sensitive agricultural activities, and also the climate adaptive agriculture is strengthening through the training, and also the input support, good input support in the remote area, the lack of the good input support, and also the lack of marketing support. So if you have the activity for the training, and also the marketing support, so the farmer empower, and also they can help the national economy as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakhawat Hussain. I think the problem with your area is that it's very remote. And because of that, it's extremely difficult to put in and all the complementarities that you need, all the inputs that you need. And also you're working with not only in remote areas, but also with the poorest people. So altogether, I think I don't know whether we have a lot of experience in Bangladesh, working with, marginal communities. But this is, even then, I think it's going to be a very, very big hurdle for you. So it would be interesting to follow up to see how you are tackling these issues, because it seems like you're struggling, right? Okay, so let's move to the next speaker, Shamsun Nahar Salam, Senior Program Associate, World Food Program.
Thank you, Dr. Moshe. Okay. Thank you. Good morning, good evening, and Dr. Moshe, thank you for chairing this event, and also I'm thanking all the panelists, the distinguished discussant. This is a very interesting topic we are talking about, and with this, as you already said, that marginal farmers and climate risk, climate smart agriculture, in WFP, our main mandate is food security. So doing so, every time we are doing different kind of innovative actions, like we have for this climate smart agriculture, to ensure the food security, we embedded this into our programs. And how we did it, we introduced different kind of climate smart technologies in our program, from mushroom cultivation to sandbar cropping and others, vermicompost. compost. So these things we have introduced in our program, and we got lots of success in this. And you know that we are also feeding the big community, the Rohingya community. And to feed this Rohingya community, we also need some fresh food, because there are vulnerable peoples and vulnerable children and women are there. So feed them, we have to have this fresh food to supply them. doing so, what I want to emphasize here, that post-harvest loss thing that I think we are going to talk about that. So reducing the post-harvest loss is one of the most practical way for strengthening the resilience and the food security, especially in a country like Bangladesh, where we lost up to 40% of the food after harvesting. This loss does not represent only the waste of food, but also the loss of income, labor, and hope for the millions of smallholder farmers. And as WFP, we are focusing the lower tier of the community, which is smallholder farmers, the marginal farmers. So at WFP, we see this, how to tackle this kind of things. That is we know that we have a poor storage condition, we have packaging problem of the perishable products, that fragmented supply chains, limited access to market finance, and also the lack of knowledge of post-harvest, good post-harvest loss practices. So our approach is to focus to integrate this post-harvest loss reduction in all our livelihood programs. For example, WFP, we are establishing aggregation center, and this aggregation center, we also introduced 62 aggregation center in Cox's Bazar because to link them with the fresh food corner and things. And in other part of the area like Kurigram, we also established some of the aggregation center. So doing so, these aggregation centers work as a market cooperative for the farmers to store, grade, and sell their product collectively. They receive training on post-harvest loss with the support of Department of Agriculture Extension, access to improved storage such as hermetic bags to keep their rice and their produce intact, and the market linkage with resilient institutional buyers. This this loss reduction just not improve the quality of the product, but also it increase the smallholder farmers' income in that way. And we are also now scaling up our agribusiness service center, where we are offering, among other services, we are offering them fish and crop drying technology, traceability system, and partnership with the Ministry of Food. We want to create a market linkage for the smallholder farmers so that we can create a direct linkage with the National Food Assistance Program through Ministry of Food. Because we see that we do a lot of things for the farmers, but we never do the end-to-end thing. So we are giving them support, they are having a livelihood, but they don't know how to sell it. When we are come out, then they become fallback. So we want to put it in a way that they have a sustainable market. So doing that, we have to link them with the Ministry of Food or some kind of national safety net program. We know that we have so many national safety net programs, so we need to link them there. Ultimately, every grain or vegetable and fruit saved means a greater resilience for farmers, stronger food security for the community, and this has to embedded in our food system. So that's what I wanted to say here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting work. The aggregation center seems to be like the storage.
It's not only storage, they are also having the other facilities,
the marketing.
The marketing, and especially now we are providing different kind of, as I say,
yeah, but it just reminds me of another similar project that used to be funded by the Swiss, I think, the Shagorip. And that was also doing very well. But whole problem seems to be that in terms of sustainability, once the donor leaves, is it going to continue?
Yeah.
And I hope that you will be thinking about that.
Just I want to take 1 minute. Like, as you know, as I say, the fresh food corner, we have to, every month we need to, I cannot say you that how much quantity, but we have to produce this, and WFP as a buyer, buying this from the smallholder farmer, so we can make these things go on like that. When we know that Rohingya is not going tomorrow, right? So, yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on quickly to the next. Anil Kumar Das, Senior National Program Specialist, FAO.
Yes.
We have, right.
Respected moderator and respected participants, good evening. So actually, this is a privilege for me, because I am an agronomist. I spent 27 years under the Ministry of Agriculture and 11 years with FAO. My domain is also food security, nutrition, and agriculture. So definitely it is a privilege for me to say something based on my experience and on my institutional view. As I am working with the FAO now, you know that the FAO is very much concerned with the food security and nutrition. So we are working on the 4 pillars, that is production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. So with this thematic area and thematic pillars, FAO is working in the Bangladesh. As an intergovernmental organization, FAO main mandate is to provide technical backstopping to the government. Policy support is the main option. And so other than this, we are used to implement some pilot projects and other things to support the problem. So as of now, we are working with the 14 ministries, mainly agriculture, fisheries, livestock, and food. So with the food ministry and agriculture ministry, we contributed in the policies and agriculture policy, agriculture action plan. Now, at present, we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture for thematic area development for the next 25 years. During the interim period, we are supporting to that one. So with this few words regarding my interest of my organization, that's okay. Other than this, that that the today is the issue of the climate smart agriculture. So yes, it is the actually the innovation and introduction of the FAO in 2010. The Hague Conference, in the background paper, FAO introduced this climate smart agriculture, that considering the climate changes and other things to do this, and main concept was to sustainably increasing agricultural productivity to support equitable increase in farm income, food security and development, then adapting and building resilience of agriculture and food security system to climate change and multiple levels, and reducing greenhouse gas emission and agriculture and livestock and fisheries. That the globally agriculture means agriculture, fisheries and livestock means, but unfortunately in our country when we talk about the agriculture it is crop focused. But anyway, we shall have to consider livestock and fisheries, but as an FAO we consider the global definition, agriculture, fisheries and livestock. In our headquarters the division is also covering this. So we are implementing a good number of projects at that in our country one of the most important issue is to mobilize the farmers. So when I had the experience to work with marketing with agricultural things, so if anybody asks me, so what is the problem with the marketing and good fair price on behalf of the farmers, the single answer I used to say from my experience that our farmers don't have any bargaining capacity. Many people, or many the rickshaw pullers have their association, and they are actually associated, but farmers are not associated. But in any way, in different projects and program, government is introducing farmers organization, FFS, lot of things. But unfortunately, when the project is over, these are going to be over. So as an FAO, we are very much concerned to it, and based on that concept that how this thing will be sustained, we are introducing the producer organization concept based on the farmers organization thing, and our conception, and we are implementing 2 projects based on thing. The organization which we are formed, we are trying to capacity building for that organization and for their marketing and their own thing capacity and already government registration. When it is registered, then it will sustain. We think that the government will do this after the things. With these things, we had good success. We implemented one project and another project is going on. Very good result is there. Some of the farmers organization in the southern and also the Rangpur Dinajpur area, also the hill tract, they are now sufficient. They can bargain for themselves. They can go to the government office where it is needed. They can do this. That is a good example for us. So other than this, what my experience is that that if you consider the climate smart agriculture, our crop sector did many things. The DGBD is there. They developed some resistant varieties for the southern also and other things. So many resistant, and also Bari developed the resistant pulses, mustard, sweet potato, tomato, turmeric, vegetables, and other things were there. And also we are also working in our project to introduce the surgeon agriculture and care agriculture intervention considering the climate change issues. So that the surgeon, all of you are somehow involved with the agriculture. It is very popular in the southern. And last week I visited Satkira. I found that the ghare agriculture is very popular. Ghare does not mean that only fishes. So now ghare is green covered. Huge vegetables are producing there, and no land is bare is there. So that is good. And also we are in our project we are promoting that one. So other than this, we are also promoting floating agriculture. That the floating agriculture got the FAO headquarter recognition as a global heritage, and we also now in our project trying to scale up this not only in the southern, that is Gopalganj was the main thing I found. Now it is practiced in Sunamganj, Kishoreganj, those long flooded areas they are using this. I think that will be good interventions for things. Other things that we also supported, and World Bank also there, the climate information system, that is Department of Agriculture Extension developed one BAMIS, Bangladesh Climate Agriculture Information System. Project is over, but very happy that the Agriculture Department has established one unit. Now they are providing daily information, message, and other things to the things. Through SMS and also website also. They used to do this. They are struggling with this now. And regarding the homestead gardening, we did a number of projects in the homestead. That is, you know that the urban agriculture is coming very interesting. So we worked for the homestead agriculture. We FAO developed one model, and we established in that first Dhaka and Chittagong city what could be the model considering the building safety. Because if we are able to cover the green in the cities, then that will be good for, you know, that the heat island is happening there, all of you know, so that will be very helpful, and we are also providing support and there. So other than this, FAO is also working to capacity build of the Agriculture Ministry, Department of Livestock and Fisheries also for their information dissemination service. What the WFP said, the aggregation center, this is means that we are also established there in collaboration with WFP and others. So that is one of the concepts. Our government is trying to marketplace in the villages, that is farmers market. Government used to say it farmers market, but we are working beyond this. Not only marketing, not only information, all type of available services are there, and the farmers used to come there, they get their decision making support is there. Also there is a market, and in the market in the morning the producer used to come there, and we provide them the support for the proper marketing. Also in the Rohingya camp also serving. That is good, and in the Cox's Bazar that is a good example. Now we are trying to scale it up throughout the country in making compliance with the government initiative for farmers market. So these are the things, and you know that the women lead CSA initiatives, empowering also. We are also very much serious about the involving the
one
women.
more minute, okay?
Yes, within 1 minute. I am in the last line, so no problem. So, Living Lab, I found that is a good initiative. That is collaborative platforms in Khulna and Patuakhali for co-developing CSA solution with farmers, with using their indigenous knowledge. How come it will be scaled up? With these few words and few highlights, so I like to conclude my discourse in this way, that climate smart agriculture gives us hope for a better future. It helps farmers grow more food, protect the environment, and face climate challenges. With the right support and local solutions, our coastal and deltic region can become stronger and more productive. Let us work together to make this happen and to make our agriculture very much climate resilient. This is the demand of the time. If we want to sustain, definitely we shall have to give importance to the resilience. Many things we cannot control, but it will come. But we shall have to adapt with this. With our resilience, we shall have to sustain. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the time.
I have just one question to you. You have got a very large Bill Gates Foundation funding
Oh, that
for agriculture.
Yes.
That also includes climate smart agriculture part.
Yes.
Can you tell a little
Yes,
about
yes.
that?
I was very much involved with from the first day for developing this project, and I know everything of this project. Actually, the Gates Foundation project, it was very much focused to the policies. No hard work is there. Gates Foundation was interested to support the government for developing the policies. For example, number one, three components are there. Number one components they requested the partner project, the big project is under. I am not going to that one. They actually incorporate the things. During the implementation of partner projects, what the innovations they will be developed, that innovation will be scaled up from the number one component. Number two component, they want some investment plan. That Bill Gates Foundation is interested that they don't find any investment plan in the agriculture sector. There is a holistic investment plan they want, and they actually requested to develop 6 hotspots focus investment plan. It is already running, discussion is going on, and 6 investment plan will be developed considering the reality and discussion. Another thing, pillar was there that economic analysis of the allocation of the present government in the field of agriculture. That was a very challenging. You know that getting data from the government is very tough. So anyway, we are collecting it. Our headquarter, MAFAF, you know that the MAFAF is helping us, and we are now analyzing the investment, or not for 1 year, couple of years, allocation of government investment in the broader agriculture sector. Then we will provide them support. These three are the main components, but there is no hard work. Is there also?
Okay, thank you for your explanation, clarifications. Okay, Sumaya Ahmed, Head of Sustainability Pran. There you go, right.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
So good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for having me in this panel. I'll be quite short and perhaps keep a lot of the discussions within the open floor and in the subsequent panel questions. So just to kind of give a brief idea about what Pran RFL Group does, I think all of you know here, Pran RFL Group is one of the largest and most diversified conglomerates in Bangladesh, and we started in 1981 with RFL, Rangpur Foundry Limited, where we were, and just to kind of talk about where our inception of the company came from, it started with our founder chairman working in Rangpur when he started his career in the army, and subsequently he finished it there as well. And so when he was working in Rangpur, he realized that there was a big lack of access to clean water for the general population, not just in Rangpur, but then the rural area at large. And secondly, there was also a lack of water and access to water for irrigation and agricultural practices. And so, when he retired, he started RFL first, Rangpur Foundry Limited, and the tube oil, or the tube wells that was getting water from underground to give access to the normal population. And through business expansion, we also got into the business of giving agricultural products, especially pipes and motors and fittings, that would also develop the agricultural landscape in Rangpur, in Rajshahi, and the greater Bangladesh. And then in 1985 is when our Pran started. And so Pran, as you all know, is one of the largest food processors in Bangladesh. And so why did Pran start in food processing? And so again, in 1985, we realized that there was a lot of, say, farming of mangoes that was happening in the northern belt, but then oftentimes there was not a fair market for these market for these mangoes to be sold. And so there was a lot of mangoes that was going into waste. Farmers were losing money. There was a huge inefficiency in the entire process. And so that's when we came up with the idea of processing and storing the pulp so that we could use it for the rest of the year, and not just use it say in small quantity, but really commercializing it and introducing Bangladesh's first bottled mango drink that Pran started with. And so both of our businesses, Pran and RFL, started on the pillars of agriculture and on the pillars of sustainability. So basically sustainability is at the core heart of where the company started and then where we are going also. So coming back to the present day, we have over 100,000 contract farmers who are supplying us with the raw materials needed for our major production areas. So that includes mangoes, tomatoes, cassava, peanuts, wheat, maize, etc. We also have quite a big network of dairy farmers as well. So we have over 12,000 dairy farmers who are supplying us milk every day. And so, we're also one of the largest dairy milk producers, processors in Bangladesh. And so in the next couple of years, we have a few goals in sustainability that relates to agriculture. And, although our core business started on solving a, sustainability problem, the company-wide narrative or strategy of sustainability was really refreshed in the last 2 years. And so we have a new company sustainability policy, which is called, Sustainability 2.0 strategy, where we have 8 key pillars that we are currently working working on as an organization. And these pillars have very time-bound qualitative and quantitative targets that we need to meet by the next 5 years. And so, some of the examples of the sustainability pillars are, say, plastic waste management and packaging, reducing carbon emissions, and then one big pillar is resilient and sustainable agriculture. And so we've seen, and I'll perhaps give a more of a personal anecdote. And so last year in December, I had visited Godagari, which is the largest hub for tomato processing for Pran. And so I was in the field at 8:30 a.m., talking to the farmers about the challenges they were facing. And then one of the farmers called me and, if everybody speaks in Bangla here, maybe I'll speak also in Bangla. So he was showing me the tomato plant and the flower, and he was saying, Apa, শীতকালে ডিসেম্বর মাসে এত কুয়াশা থাকার কথা সকাল 8টা 9টা 10টা পর্যন্ত যে এই টমেটোর ফুল থেকে ফলটা তখন গ্রো করে বাট ওই ডিসেম্বরে এত গরম ছিল যে বাই দ্য টাইম হারভেস্টিং টাইম বা যখন ক্রপটা গ্রো করে ফুল হবে মানে ফুল থেকে ফল হবে তখন ইট ওয়াজ সো হট দ্যাট দ্য ফ্লাওয়ার স্টার্টেড বিকামিং ড্রাই অ্যান্ড দেন there was no fruit from the plant. And so what does that mean? Because আমাকে দেখাচ্ছে এবং বলছে যে we know what to do when there is a pest attack. We know that when there's a drought, we need to irrigate. But what happens when there's unbelievable, unbearable amount of heat in deep December when we are supposed to have fog? What do we do then? Is a question that I could not answer to him at that moment. But then that also, when we came back from the field, we started working very closely with our operations team, our farming team, the entire team that looks after the contract farmers, to really see how we can upskill them on climate resilient agriculture. And what does climate resilience mean? It varies from, say, a farmer who's farming tomatoes versus in the northern belt of Bangladesh versus a farmer that's farming cassava in the Bandarban hill tracts. And so really catering our, projects, interventions based on the area in which we are farming, based on the locations, and also based on the skills of the farmers as well. In terms of, say, large ticket projects that we're currently running, we have one project that we're doing in partnership with Danida, where we are, upskilling over 10,000 dairy farmers to train them on, number one, climate resilient agriculture and animal husbandry, and also to, train them on increasing the output of dairy in a sustainable and long-lasting way. And so with Danida, we also have a couple of partners, Sagis from the Netherlands. We also have Arla as a partner as well. And so this is basically an intersection of all of the key stakeholders coming and working together. Under that project, in the next 2.5 years, we've also targeted to upskill 8,000 female dairy workers, dairy farmers, just because, at this moment we always keep talking about equality in the development sector, that we need to give, say, equal inputs and support to men and women. But, we personally believe that equality is far away. At this moment, we need to talk about equity, and that means giving this extra support to female farmers, extra level of training, access to, financial literacy, access to, say, lower quality feedstock, lower priced feedstock. And so, we have a focus on developing and bringing in 8,000 female dairy farmers within our value chain in the next 2.5 years, but also overall reaching out to all of the 100,000 contract farmers in the next 5 years to keep continuing to develop their capacity. And we don't do this by ourselves, because we know that partnerships make every project and every business is better. And so, for example, Danida is supporting us with the dairy project. We have World Vision, who supports us in developing the capacity of our cassava farmers in Bandarban. And so we basically look at sustainable agriculture in quite a holistic fashion, that the farmers are the reason why we're in business. And so as long as we can support them in an equitable way, the society develops, and so do we.
Thank you. A very interesting presentation on how the private sector is tackling some serious issues. Normally one doesn't expect the private sector to do that, but the but of course, you are holding hands, or donors are holding hands with you on this, which I think is great. Is this common, or is this something that is just run?
So I think the landscape is changing because Pran is one of the largest agro-processors, and so we're exporting to 145 countries as well. When we export to the European market our food products, there needs to be certain agricultural practices and even say certifications that will give us an open doors for the European market. So Pran proactively.
In order to export, you will have to be sustainable.
Absolutely, and we have to have measurable, auditable sustainability practices, and so we are proactively doing this because, this is excellent for the local economy, but then this is even more relevant for the international market that we're expanding into.
Thank you. Let's move on. Dr. Maqbul Murshid, he's online, I think. Is he? Are you with us, Dr. Maqbul Murshid?
I'm online. I'm with you.
Please
Can you hear
go
me?
ahead. Please go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. It's really an honor for me because I'm from Bangladesh. I am a faculty member here in AIT. I mostly teach international development and climate change. Just to, Chair, I prefer to update on our ongoing work on the insurance and particularly in the context of climate change challenges. So we are working on two countries at this moment, which is likely to be scaled up 3 to 4 more countries depending on the funding and other factors, mostly funding. I will mostly talk about the case of the insurance, the challenges for these, the issue of climate change adaptation. And as all of you know, that we are working on the climate change technologies, and I have colleagues working on mitigation. I am working on adaptation since I am more focused on that. As part of the adaptation, we are working on the challenges of adaptation technologies. So one of the technologies or tools is the insurance. Chair, I would like to just briefly highlight, and I'm really delighted to hear from my colleagues who have presented very well about some of the challenges. Our work is mostly focused on how to raise the level of insurance, I would say, adoption among the smallholders and middle farmers. Because large farmers, that doesn't mean they don't need, but they need also. But I think our focus is to reach out to them. So to do that, what we have done, what we have been doing, we are trying to see that how the insurance can help them. Just to go to the background, as all of you know, that the climate change is really a challenge, and it is mostly a major challenge for food security. And farmers are facing it, and they have to, I would say, deal with that. To deal with that, a number of measures have been taken. Just to broadly speaking, for example, we are also working on salinity issues, drought, early warning, all those things. Our recent work, as I told you, is more on insurance. So what we are trying to see that how insurance can be adopted, and it can be cheap, and it can be helpful to the middle and smallholders. But I must admit, our initial findings, my presentation has a caveat. We are yet to finish the work. We have just finished the field work, and we just have made 1 or 2 presentations in the last few months. Thank you very much for this opportunity. We have discovered few things which I like to just let you know. One is we call it protection gap. The gap is that the intention of insurance to protect the farmers is not being dealt with properly, because the insurance is mostly, if it is publicly, I would say, guaranteed or publicly organized, it has more likelihood to reach out the farmers, particularly smallholders. If it is public plus private, mostly private, it needs some incentive. It needs a huge amount of, I would say, the policy pressure or policy incentive, so that the farmers and the organization working on it, they take it seriously and they reach out to the right people. So at this moment, there are 2-pronged challenges. One challenge is to make the insurance something very popular or more or less popular among the target population, that is the farmers. So to make it popular, the provider, the company or the partner working with us has to be convinced that they can make money in this effort. So this is the first challenge we are facing, and we are really finding it difficult to deal with that. Because all of you know, in Southeast Asia, there are, like South Asia also, there are government efforts to help the farmers, to get the capital, to protect them, and also at the same time to reduce their risk. And I think all of you know, insurance is mostly a risk transfer initiative, that at least the risk is reduced. So how to do that? So to do that, insurance could be a way out, but we are finding it that there are, as I told you, there are two major challenges. The companies which are encouraged by the government to take part in insurance are not very interested unless they see a, a comparable amount of profit they are making. This is a real challenge. So how can I help the farmers on this? Secondly, is a major problem, because many farmers, all of you know, they feel that this insurance premium will not be paid by them. They feel that it will be paid by the government. Why I will pay the premium? The premium should be paid by the government. So it needs a huge amount of awareness and motivation. We are seeing that. So the motivation has to be there. And thirdly, that is also a challenge, the issue of the young farmers, because of the aging population in some of the Southeast Asian countries, most of the farmers are not young. They are 40 plus. Some of them are even 50 plus. I mean, I'm talking about the major group in certain provinces and districts. So the challenge is also a difficult one, because we are finding among the older farmers, to convince them is more challenging compared to the young farmers. But interestingly, the number of young farmers is less, and is less among these small and mid holders. So the challenges are many. So the point I'm trying to make is how to make it popular, how to make it useful to deal with the climate change challenges. Because as I started my short note here, I tried my best to make it clear. I think in South Asia, if I'm give it respect to my colleagues here, I think we can consider what is the possibility of using insurance to help the farmers. So we are seeing the initial results, which are very challenging. But if you ask me, I think this challenge has to be taken, because we need food security. We need to help the farmers, and we also need to help the farmers across the age groups, young, middle-aged, and also bit older farmers. So probably time has come to have a detailed study to understand the possibility or the prospects of insurance for the farmers, at the same time to make it popular among them, and to ensure that they benefit from that. So I think it is clear climate change is happening. We have challenges of mitigation, we have challenges of adaptation, and of course we have challenges of climate science. So climate insurance, or insurance for the smallholders and middle farmers, I think could be a way out if we take some of the, I would say, broader issues or very pertinent issues in our consideration. I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Maqbul Murshid. Very interesting, but I mean, insurance has been one of those intractable things in our agriculture for a long time, not just for us, all across the developing world. But I remember that there are various interesting experiments and innovations that I've heard of taking place in Bangladesh. So some related to, I think, livestock, some related to some other things. And I was hoping that we have now closer to an insurance model than we were earlier, but it still seems pretty elusive, especially without heavy government subsidies. But anyway, good luck on your journey. And I think the point about the young is extremely important. I think we are a very young country in terms of our demographic structure, but our farmers are older, and maybe we have to find some way of how to bring the young into modern smart agriculture. That is a challenge, I think, going forward. Our next speaker will be Dr. Mahfouz Kabir.
Thank you, and thanks to CPD for inviting me to speak. So, and there are in fact popular discussions regarding the different, in fact, food items. Like, I mean, if you see, when I start with the crops, I mean the food crops, and then if you see the horticulture, and then the fishery, livestock. So and I think less discussed in item is the mariculture. So in the coastal area we see and a lot of things are happening. So in fact and coastal area can be a good source of in fact food, and also the in fact high valued food. So there are a lot of sources. So this is number one, and number two is the coastal in fact marine fishery. So that's very important so to understand. And because of the pollution, as already discussed, I mean the plastic pollution and other, and also the in fact depletion of the in fact the coastal resources. So it's a really big danger because of the in fact climate change. We see the increased salinity and other in fact dangers. So we see the in fact decay of many in fact marine resources. So it's creating a lot of problems. And if we see the in fact coastal heat, I mean it's something like I mean the ocean temperature. So it's increasing and it's creating a lot of in fact threats towards the in fact it's not only the in fact coastal in fact like mariculture, but also the people living in the coastal region. So it's a big area which is in fact threatened by this in fact climate change. So this is number one. Number two, if you see the whole input output structure, so it's getting changed because of the whole climate change. And recently we have done the in fact just two things, two exercises we have done in the with the support from the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics. It's the one is the in fact SEEM, a system of environmental economic accounting. So I have given training to the all the in fact ministries and also the ecosystem accounting. So we have done it for a couple of sectors, including the agriculture and forestry, and also for the ocean. So we have found interesting thing just because of the climate change and increased in fact carbon emission. So we see the pattern of change of the in fact it started from the seed to the output. So the harvest. So all are getting changed. So that is the in fact terrible finding. But because of the increased use of pesticides and other in fact, so it's again creating a lot of pressure on the whole system. So that is number two, and number three is basically the use of new technologies, like in fact with the support from the World Bank. So you see it called, so they are supporting the in fact climate smart irrigation system, like I mean the in fact solar irrigation. So it's they are doing very well, even though it's subsidized, but still if you consider the whole cost of in fact the irrigations, it has gone down significantly. So recently we have a collaboration, the research collaboration with the in fact Durham University, as it's an international collaboration, and our institute BISS is a part of that. And we did rounds of survey for 4 years, and then we have seen. So it was just technology nudging, so that we conducted, and we have seen. So we did the survey in the 28 districts. So repeated survey, and we have seen that I mean that there is still the presence of misinformation regarding the whole in fact the solar irrigation, even though it's less costly in terms, just in fact if you see the financial cost, so it's just 1/3. So for the in fact round of in fact irrigation for example for Buru, so it's 3,600, and for in fact solar irrigation is just 1/3, like I mean it's about 1,100 or 1,200. So you see the in fact reduced cost, and also if you consider the in fact the climatic impacts. So the in fact traditional irrigation like the diesel based irrigation, it creates in fact noise. So it creates a lot of in fact environmental impacts as well as they emit the carbon. So if you consider the carbon emission and also the other in fact the financial cost, so it's really in fact significantly higher than the in fact this climate smart solar irrigation system. But still farmers are opting for that, I mean the traditional and fuel based irrigation, because of the misinformation. So just peculiar thing. So they are just opting for that, and we have seen the very peculiar things. Just in solar irrigation is established in a field, and just beside that we see the small in fact the traditional irrigation system is in there, and it's creating a lot of noise. So and then the birds and other things, I mean they are just flying away. But still, I mean the farmers are in fact opting for that irrigation. And also there are big pumps, like I mean the deep irrigation system is in there, but which is also again the traditional fuel based. So and there are also the in fact the electricity based irrigation system, which is about I think 20% of the total, and this 2% is the in fact contribution of the solar based irrigation. So but there is another danger. It's something like I mean since it doesn't have any kind of in fact recurrent cost, like I mean there is no fuel use or the electricity use. So the extraction of subsurface water is huge. So it doesn't have any control. So and it's creating a depletion of the water level. So the water table is going down just because of that. But I don't think it's a significant amount. So in the northern part, you see lot of in fact irrigation, but there is no in fact kind of in fact survey on that. I mean, what are the impacts and etc. So there are two types of misinformation. One is, I mean, among the scientists. So even though this particular technology is called as climate smart, but still it has an impact on the water table. So this is number one, and in fact the scientists and others who do the survey, so they are without any kind of doing any kind of survey. So they are saying that it's in fact harmful for environment. So this is number one misinformation or disinformation. Number two is in fact the social in fact attitude and practices of the farmers. So they are opting for the traditional in fact irrigation system, which is climate damaging. So it's in fact creating lot of disturbances for the environment, and it's emitting carbon. So now I think there is in fact need for making a kind of policy. So what would be the irrigation system for Bangladesh, and what would be the regulatory mechanism? So I think that is very important, because we want that in fact we need the climate smart technology in agriculture, and also in fact you see there is a new kind of policy. I think there is a project supported by the World Bank for climate smart agriculture in the Ministry of Agriculture. So and we have the technologies like, I mean, this in fact irrigation system, which is solar based, and there is a new product that actually within our project. So we devised a machine which is called power tiller, so totally solar based and movable, and it's affordable. So we did that, and we had demonstrated that. So but still it's not being adopted. So we are still using the in fact traditional in fact fuel based in fact the power tiller. So that's a big thing. So we can easily in fact upgrade the scale. So we can expand the scale, and then it's quite easy to in fact adopt the solar based power tiller. I think if we increase the scale, so the cost, the per capita cost will be, or per unit cost will be reduced. So I think it's just the wish of the in fact policymakers. So we can think of this, and we can reduce the carbon emission significantly by adopting this kind of technology. With that, I would like to thank you.
Thank you. And this is very interesting. We know that there are a number of technologies now available of the kind that has just been mentioned. But the problem seems to be that adoption, information, extension, all these things, traditional things, all things that we have experienced with the Green Revolution. Is again the same old story here. But I hope that we will be able to learn some lessons from the earlier decades, and won't have to wait for 30 years to get this done. Okay, the next speaker, Mr. Mahbubur Rahman, Head Agriculture and Food Security, BRAC.
Thank you, and good evening. It's a very timely discussion that the climate smart agriculture and the food security. So the colleagues from FAO, he mentioned that how the term of climate smart agriculture came, and then the food security. So if we go very shortly, climate smart agriculture, what is it? Very key. We need to increase the production, but increase the resilience of the farmer at the same time, the less greenhouse gas emission. And for food security, same thing. Availability of food and accessibility. There is a lot of food, but people doesn't have the access to the food. And another important criteria for food security is the nutrition. So if we link with the climate smart agriculture and the food security, so that means the population is increasing day by day. And in fact, if we look at our country, Bangladesh, the arable land is decreasing almost 1% every year. So that means we have to focus on production, no ways. Otherwise, if we don't focus on the production, the people will be starvation for. So when we will focus on the production increased, at the same time we need to focus the climate smart agriculture, and we can create a very good linkage. What the moderator was saying, he said several times that field works were done for several decades, in fact, and the experiences and result. So for example, if we look at very two common product in Bangladesh, one is the rice, and second thing is the dairy product. It may be beef, it may be milk, whatever. So that means we need more rice. And rice actually emits a lot of methane. That means it's creating negative impact on the environment. Cattle, they produces a lot of methane. It is harmful for the environment. But if we stop the production of rice and cow, we have to stay without food. That's not possible. So in that case, what we have to do, we can take some initiative. So that means if we look at the rural area, still many people rear the local cow from where we can get 1 liter, 2 liter, 3 liter. But if we can substitute a high-yielding variety, we can get 20 liter, 30 liter, 40 liter milks from one cow. So that means instead of rearing 30 cows or 40 cows, which milk we are getting, we can get same amount of milk from one cow. Same thing for rice. So though Bangladesh is already good in production, but still there are a yield gap. We are still behind 20 to 30%, or in fact some cases it's 40%. We are behind from the standard production. So the moderator mentioned that I am working in BRAC International. BRAC, started the operation in 1972, just after the Liberation War. And BRAC initially started with the very rural area and focused on the women. Most of the participants, we work the women. And BRAC, when supported the smallholder farmers in the rural area, the people who came from rural area, they can remember that that time in the early morning, some women came to household to give the vaccination of the chicken. So when BRAC started to work with the women, that time they realized, okay, poultry can be a good option. And when they started to work with the poultry, they realized that a mortality is an issue. Then BRAC developed some promoters, so they will ensure the vaccination. So that time Bangladesh was not like this period. No electricity, and vaccine needs to maintain the cool chain. So BRAC did that time, innovated a very local solution. That means to maintain the cold chain, BRAC carried those vaccine vials through banana, ripened banana, so that the temperature cannot be increased. And that created a good impact. Later on, BRAC started to work with the dairy producer. And when BRAC started to work with the poultry and dairy, they realized that we have to import a lot of maize for the feed. And BRAC introduced maize in Bangladesh, that time for the animal feed. And after working almost 3 decades, then BRAC decided to work globally. And BRAC started its first operation in 2002 in Afghanistan. And later on in Africa, it spreaded first in East Africa, Tanzania, and Uganda in 2006. Later on in 2008, after the civil war ended in West Africa, one country, Sierra Leone, Liberia, then expanded more other countries, South Sudan. So BRAC International is currently working in 11 countries, mostly in Africa, but in Asia, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Philippines, but earlier worked in Pakistan. And all of these countries, we work closely with the farmers, and mostly smallholder farmers. And we intentionally works with the women farmers. Out of our farmers, almost 65 to 70 farmers are women. And the context is little bit different in Asia and Africa. And especially it's a little bit different from Bangladesh. So in those countries, we work with different institutions like the government, research institution, private sector, donor like WFP, they are already our current partner in Africa. And what we do there, we actually promote the high-yielding variety so that the farmers can get more production from the same resources, same land. That will ensure their food security. Then we work sometimes for the government level for policy development. In Liberia, there was no livestock policy for government. So we developed that policy on behalf of the government. Then we introduced, because farmers face a lot of problem for the loan, access to finance. So especially some dedicated agriculture loan was developed for few countries. And in fact, in Bangladesh, BRAC has introduced the crop insurance last few years, and they're doing good. So we need to be careful because the climate is changing a lot. We focus on the climate information services because weather forecast we are getting that within 1 week or 2 weeks the flood may come, or the storm may come, but what will happen within the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? So if we get that climate information, we can actually take some initiative earlier. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very difficult area, actually. I mean, most of the things that you've said are not new, in the sense that this is exactly what you and other NGOs have been doing for a long time. Question is, still don't have a model, right? That we can say that this is perhaps the way to approach the next generation of issues and problems that we are likely to face. It's good that you're dealing with financial access, which of course again a traditional input, but crop insurance is interesting, and you're saying that you are having some success with that. I think that would be, I wish you had spent more time discussing that, because that would have given us something new to think about. But in the meantime, maybe if there are questions later on, we can hear from you. But let's move on. We have another participant online, Dr. Shikha Thapar Magar, Executive Director, Nepal Development Research Institute. Are you with us, Dr. Magar?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, CPD, for this wonderful opportunity to be here. I think regarding the climate change and the food security, and the topic we have given is climate smart agriculture that we are focusing on, which could help the food security of Bangladesh as well as the whole region, right? So right now I'm presenting Nepal, and I'm from Nepal Development Research Institute. And talking about my background, I have finished my PhD in sustainable agriculture from China, and my focus area is very related to the topic that is being discussed today here on value chain. And also, like, I have worked with different organizations technology for the improvement of the agriculture productivity in Nepal. So, going back with the topic, I understand that Bangladesh and Nepal both have been improved a lot in agriculture for past decades. But anyhow, the productivity has been decreasing, the yield has been decreasing due to different externalities, negative externalities such as marketing, that could be after the post-harvest, right? And also during the production period, the climate change has affected both the countries. And in Bangladesh, I think the flood and cyclones, those are the major issue that has been affecting the rice production. And I also heard from different, like our fellow panelists, that now the productivity has decreased a lot in Bangladesh, and it is same in Nepal as well. And also the different issues are both climatic and non-climatic factors. So talking about the climatic factors, I think this climate change has really affected both countries. And in our country also, the drought, the flood has affected the productivity and also increased different type of pest, different kind of diseases in the plant, which also reduces the productivity. And talking about the post-harvest loss, right? It is also due to the storage problem in Nepal. And I think it is also similar in Bangladesh. And going forward with the solution, I think when I was doing study in different climate smart technology across the region, we found that the agriculture tools or technology that should be more focused on usable to the women, children, and the elderly people, because in our region, South Asia region, the out migration is much higher, and which leave women and children and the elder people to be in the country and focus on the agriculture. So what we found that if there is a tool that could help with the work to reducing work drudgery and also improve the time poverty, It could also help women to empower themselves for other economic sources by providing them some kind of training to enhance their skill. So I think that is what we came across, that if we improve or introduce different technology, such as for like our country is very mountainous country. So in our country, we introduced like a small tiller that could help with the efficiency in tillage, and also like drip irrigation, right? Very efficient in water. And also like since our country has drought as a major problem, when we talk about the hazard or the climate change is problem. So different type of climate smart technologies such as rainwater harvesting also help that a lot. And talking about the post-harvest loss, I think storage is the biggest issue. So I think in that we can also improve. And talking about the moving forward with the marketing, yes, even we have the productivity, we don't have proper market linkage because of the a lot of middle person which fluctuate the farm gate prices, and also it does not reach the right people like farmers to get the right proper price of their product. So I think in that part we can also focus on the marketing. So recently, like I was also monitoring a project under EC mode, which is hybrid. So it is green resilient, green climatic and clean climate resilient and inclusive development, which is happening in Nepal, and also like they are trying to also like replicate in other South Asian country, EC mode trans-regional country. Value chain where they are helping like lead farmers in become more entrepreneurial by providing different online platform for marketing where they can get easy access to the market and also with the consumer. So it is in the process. So they are doing a great job. And at the same time, I think there is need of a like a financial credit loan that is very essential for the farmers, because I think due to the lack of finance, also that is also affecting the productivity, that is also affecting their like motivation to move on with how to have be more resilient and like more focus on their production. So I think in that part also we need to focus like how the distribution of finance or how the credit loans, how the schemes are provided, and that type of awareness is very needed for the farmers. So I think that in those areas also we can focus. I'm talking a bit of not very focusing in for Bangladesh, but I'm like focusing as a regional like farmers, like low smallholder farmers. And moving ahead, I think there is also like I think somebody also talked about the climate finance, right? So before like I think the climate finance is a big topic that is going around, but I think in a like a developing country like ours, our very local government, they should have proper budgeting, like gender budgeting, gender responsive budgeting coding, that they should understand like how they should segregate the budget for different sectors and different need. So I think these all need to become holistically, like what are the needs and how the international framework as well as the national framework go coherent and then go together for the food security. So I think as we go ahead with the discussion, I can add more on it. And thank you again.
Thank you very
Hello?
much, and for an excellent representation from Nepal. We see that our problems are very similar and approaches are also quite similar, except that in Nepal's case, probably it's slightly more difficult than ours, particularly because of the extra risk of drought and the need to ensure access to finance, which we have the same problem, but at least we have lots of microfinance here, which perhaps is not the case in Nepal. But thank you for being with us, Dr. Magar. Let's move to the next presentation, Professor Jahangir Alam Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The key issues in climate smart agriculture include building resilience, sustainable productivity, adaptation, and mitigation. We need to know the composition of GHG in Bangladesh. The composition, carbon dioxide 44.8%, followed by methane 40.1%, and nitrous oxide 13.1%, with agriculture being the major source of methane and nitrous oxide. The energy sector is the largest contributor to GHG emission, 55% in a recent estimate, but they follow that the larger agriculture sector, crop, livestock, forestry, and fisheries, accounts for about 27.35%. Now, what are the key sources of GHG emission in the agriculture, forestry, and land use? Methane, primarily from rice cultivation and livestock, that's livestock enteric fermentation and manure. Nitrous oxide from the use of fossil fuel and machinery and irrigation equipments, as well as from deforestation for land expansion. The contributing factors in agriculture sector, as many of you informed us, that rice cultivation. Irrigated paddy production is the major source of methane, accounting for about half of agriculture sector emission. Then livestock, enteric fermentation, and manure management are significant sources of methane and nitrous oxide. This sector is responsible for little less than half of the entire agriculture sector's emission. And fisheries, aquaculture practices like the intensive use of feed, fertilizer, and energy are the sources of methane emissions. This sector is responsible for about 5% of total agriculture-related emissions. And fertilizer, the production and use of synthetic fertilizer, particularly urea, leads to nitrous oxide emissions. Crop residues and fossil fuel. Burning of crop residues and the use of fossil fuels for irrigation and machinery contribute to emissions. Land use change and forestry. This is related to deforestation and burning, although reforestation acts as a carbon sink. The important areas where we have impact of the climate change is the floods and cyclone. We all know about it in Bangladesh. Drought and rainfall pattern shifts. Then salinity intrusion, particularly in the coastal areas. Temperature increase. The rising temperature can reduce crop yields, harm livestock health, and alter the distribution of pests and diseases. And yield reduction, there are many assumptions. Projections shows that 4 degrees Celsius could lead to a 28% reduction in rice and 68% reduction in wheat production. But as of now, in one side, there are possibilities of yield reduction, but on the other side, there are ways for yield increase. So even now, we have a positive impact on agricultural production. And sea level rise, by just 0.65 meters, 40% of fertile land in southern Bangladesh could be submerged. These are all assumptions. The reduced agricultural output leads to an increased food crisis, food prices, and food insecurity, malnutrition, and displacement of farmers from their land. This means the loss of livelihood from agriculture and fisheries also severely affect our entire economy. Bangladesh's NDC 3.0 has a combined target of reducing 20.31% GS emission from BAU level. And so far, emissions from all subsectors in agriculture have been increasing. The agricultural commitment is a target of 11.46% reduction by 2035. Now, how can we face challenges imposed by climate change? Adaptation measures. Climate change, climate resilient crop varieties, development of development and planting of crop varieties that can withstand specific climate stress like drought, flooding, and salinity. So far, we have developed a large number of varieties of different crops. Both Bangladesh Rice Research Institute and BINA, they have developed a large number of varieties for short duration varieties that can be fit well into the cropping system. Then flood tolerant and drought tolerant resistant varieties are also developed. But the point is that the time lag between the research center and the ultimate users is a bit longer, and this may be due to our extension system. Body Director General is here. He may throw some light on it. Improved water management. It is shifting to a wider alternative wetting and drying system. You wet and dry. This means that this method, by this method, cultivation for cultivation of rice, we can reduce water uses. And crop diversification, shifting to a wider variety of crops to reduce reliance on a single system and increase resilience. Adjusted cropping pattern. Change of planting and harvesting schedules using short duration rice varieties to align with changing weather pattern, and practicing crop rotations in response to salinity, particularly in the coastal areas. And livestock and aquaculture adaptation, diversifying animal farming. And for fisheries, modernizing fisheries vessels for better fuel efficiency, optimizing feed production, and adopting climate-smart technology like bioclog and aquaponics. And mitigation measures, what are those? Applying fertilizer more efficiently to reduce greenhouse gas emission and soil degradation. We use lime to correct soil acidity by raising the pH level. Waste management, encouraging various uses of rice straw instead of burning them to improve soil organic matter. Land use, find alternatives to traditional brick making to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and use scientific techniques to minimize soil degradation. And livestock, ensure better feed and manure management to reduce greenhouse gas emission. And solar energy, encourage use of solar energy in irrigation and fishing trawlers. Institutional and policy support. The government has established Bangladesh Climate Change Trust Fund and Bangladesh Climate Change Resilient Fund to support climate change measures. So far, agriculture received less than 10% of the total fund coming from those sources. So we need to increase allocation to climate smart agriculture from those funds. Research and development. Provide sufficient funds to the National Agriculture Research System and others who are actively involved in developing new crop varieties and farming techniques. Farmer support, awareness. While efforts are underway, the awareness and adoption of CSA practice, particularly in vulnerable coastal areas, is still very low. Capacity building. Training programs for farmers of CSA technologies, diversification, and post-harvest management are needed to enhance knowledge and skill of the farmers. Financing. Support farmers with cash incentives, interest-free loans, and insurance. We do not have much, we do not have done much in the public sector for insurance, but there are many countries where insurance are in progress. Then inclusivity. Projects on CSA should focus on social inclusion, particularly by mainstreaming women's participation in agriculture. And coordination. A lack of coordination among different stakeholders remains a major constraint in promoting CSA effectively. This needs to be taken care of properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Alam. Dr. Alam has given us quite a wide perspective. He's made us aware once again about the macro issues with regard to emissions, with regard to methane, and so on and so forth. The problem is, when we were doing the Green Revolution, we had a very clear image in our mind. There are the three or four things that we have to do, and we have a few very, very substantive but very clear messages that we need to disseminate to farmers. And we went, all our institutions, whether government or non-government, focused on how to disseminate that information, how to disseminate that technology. Here what we find is we are now trying to group towards some kind of a model, and I don't think we still have that kind of clarity, whereby we can say, okay, we think we have a very well structured approach that we can, go to the farmers and tell them, okay, these are the 3 or 4 things that you have to do, and these are the 3 or 4 things that public sector will do to support you. And without that, we have bits and pieces of solutions, and these are scattered and varied. Our micro solution, I don't know how well our micro solution is consistent with the longer term objectives of reducing emissions and reducing degradation and so on. So those are extremely difficult, complex issues for which we will need a lot of research, it seems, and I don't know. I see a lot of people here who are representing practices, doing things at a micro level. I don't see, still, maybe there will be 1 or 2 persons here who will talk about what the research is telling us. Where are we in terms of the research? Are there some findings that seem to be much more urgent than others? So let's anyway move on to the next presentation from, this is Dr. T.S. Amjad Babu, agricultural economist from CIMMYT.
Thank you. My name is Amjad Babu. I'm senior agriculture economist working with CIMMYT or International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center. Even though we are named International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, we have much more wider presence in the agri-food systems. So for CIMMYT, we have 6 major programs, but one of the main, there is a global wheat program, there is global maize program, then there is a dryland crops program, and also the sustainable agri-food system program. And except the dryland program, we have maize program, wheat program, and sustainable agri-food system program is present in Bangladesh. And if I talk about climate smart agriculture, I should first speak about the seed systems. So in case of seed system, we are still in maize and wheat, that I should say. And I think in Bangladesh, we have 650,000 hectares under maize and 250,000 plus in case of wheat. So almost 1 million hectare under 2 crops. And in case of this, I think we have one of the major activity we do in the seed system is providing germplasm, or we have global wheat nurseries and experiments, and our wheat experiments are happening in Turkey and also in Mexico, and we provide this germplasm to BWMRI and Bari. And yeah, I think most of the varieties released in Bangladesh, we have some parental lines from CIMMYT definitely present. And in case of maize, it may be around 30% or so what are from the varieties released here in Bangladesh. So we have I think this year, we have given 250 inbred lines to BWMRI, which is mostly resilient to drought, and then also waterlogging as well as heat stress, tolerant varieties or lines for experiments here. So that's a kind of activity we do in the seed system. So it's large and it's more global, and we are also working on a new technology called BNI. It's called biological nitrification inhibition wheat, which is more towards reducing fertilizer use in wheat, but that's upcoming technology. And the second system we really work on is crops and farming system research, and we do a lot on conservation agriculture, but right now we have very active work happening in intercropping. So we try to develop different intercropping systems in Bangladesh, which may be profitable for for farmers. So some of these our experiments are happening in BWMRI in Dinajpur. And then also we have a diversification policy. We are trying to work on that, and there is one project focusing on this one, but it's not only Bangladesh but also Nepal and India. So we work on what are the hindrances or barriers towards diversification, what kind of policies can be changed. So I'm not the right person to talk about it, but this work is going on. And the fourth, or the third area which I need to focus on is mechanization. We have a large footprint in mechanization. Last 15 years in Bangladesh, we are supporting mechanization, especially planting equipments, harvesting, and and processing machinery. And in case of machinery, we look for a system approach. So initially, our focus was on machinery introduction, and its and studying about its potential in Bangladesh context, and especially scale appropriate machinery, because we thought it's a small fields we have, we cannot use bigger machines, and we tried always smaller machines. And now our focus is much more on this ecosystem, because we thought, okay, we have the problem with spare parts. Spare parts is a major issue to make sure that the machines are used for longer term. And also we need to train mechanics, and also the whole ecosystem need to be there. Otherwise, the machines may not function. So in case of spare parts, right now we are working with the combine harvesters, and we have designed 250 spare parts with 700 workshops in Bangladesh. So it's a larger project, and we help them to develop these spare parts. And there are a lot of partners, I should say. But this is one of the, we try to do that mechanization ecosystem, because if for climate smart agriculture, you need to do 2 things, increase the speed of planting, also harvesting. Because we work also, the other sector is, we work on the digital climate services a lot. We have completely automated advisory services. So what we did is we identified scientific temperature, rainfall, humidity thresholds for 10 crops, and we use this in coordination with the BMD's forecast up to Brazilla level. So the Brazilla level, our algorithms look for biological thresholds for these 10 crops in the forecast. And if you see that, for example, in the wheat flowering season, if there is a increase in temperature beyond 30 degrees Celsius, then it automatically generates an advice. If you don't do irrigation, you're going to have a huge impact on yield. So, and also multiple crops, a huge amount of research is done in that behalf, and this is available right now for all over Bangladesh, and we have trained 8,000 extension officers to use this system, and yeah, I think we are reaching around 500,000 farmers if all the 8,000 extension officers are using it. But we also added, to increase the viability of this one, we added also the what you call good agronomic practices, field climate smart practices you can use at each stage of the crop. So all of this information we have shared with BRI or BWMRI, BARI, and vetted with them so that we can make sure that whatever we are including our system is approved by NARS. So otherwise we will not include. And we tried to extend it to livestock also with our tie-up with the BLRI. So BLRI has given us the what we call decision trees, which actually create this kind of services. And we are also working beyond this because we understand that we work on gender inclusion and also inclusion in general. So we found that we have a mobile app, but that will not be used by farmers. That's why we focused on extension officers. But we want directly reach farmers. So we now look at the lead farmers as one option, but also we developed what we call a interactive voice response system, or a kind of it's automated system which calls the farmers in Bangla and says you need to harvest now, otherwise it will be gone. But if you make it a call center, it's hugely expensive. You cannot run it. So we made it automated, and we are able to do it for mung bean farmers in Potokali, Bodisha region. And we use union level forecast for that to increase accuracy. And then we are able to do it without much cost. We actually, our cost is around $1 to $2 per person, and benefit is per hectare around $400. So it's huge. And because of automation, we don't have to worry about, it's still, I should say, the business models to support climate services is still in the infancy, and we are working hard on how to develop business models that can support information service in general. So I think that's very important to do that, and I see there is a lot of possibility to work with all of you on that regard. And another possibility next year we are trying to do is because of the artificial intelligence has come up, and we understand that it's now, because in our app, for example, it is text. So text, you need to, the people need to read this, and reading is a troublesome thing because you need a smartphone, you need to know how to read, you need to understand that. So there are so many inclusion problems, and AI can solve this, and we are trying to develop a tie-up with a company which can actually read this text and make it Bangla voice and talk to farmers, So that may be possible in soon, and it's not a fancy technology right now. It's possible. And other area of work we have is disease forecasting. And because of the changed climatic conditions, there are so many new pests are coming. For example, the fall armyworm was one of the pests we found, and we have done huge work on that. We developed a fall armyworm monitoring system and tied up with the Department of Agriculture Extension, and we trained them to understand, understand the biology and so on. And also we have the wheat blast warning system and wheat rust also. So we are into the disease. Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's not only because wheat blast was, for example, it's a global disease, and we need to understand how it comes, where it comes, what is it. If there is a possibility what need to be done, everything will be there. It's like a package. And the last point I want to say is about the climate adaptation work we are doing. So we have locally led adaptation, this is one of the topic we are doing right now, and some of the discussion here is mainly on how to, to make this happen at in the field. So this for that we are thinking that we need to change the approach. The technology, we are looking still climate smart agriculture as a package of technologies. So we want to change it, and we want to say this is system change, because each technology, for example, one of the technology Bari is advising is watermelon seedlings instead of watermelon seeds, and use plastic mulch. It's a simple thing, but you need to have training for seedling preparation and nursery preparation, and you need to have plastic mulch. There is many market linkages required, and it's not a, even though you say it's a simple technology, it has huge implications on so we have to, what we call is an innovation package. So innovation needs to be have a lot of co-innovations, including financing, market linkage, and training, everything. So we are trying to devise it as a like a package, and we are establishing something called a living library, which is like a farmer to farmer learning experiment, which we think now extension system, we should not always depend on extension systems. So what we think is, if extension system is reaching farmer, how the farmer who are having already knowledge can transfer that to our other farmers. So we are trying to do an experiment on farmer to farmer learning models. Yeah, that's all I just want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with the very interesting work that you guys are doing. And I'm sure that you're still struggling with a lot of things and grappling with a lot of issues, and we would look forward to see how you're doing in the emerging future. I was just struck by this focus on combined harvesters. In our days, I mean, it was impossible to think of harvesters given the land distribution system and so on. Now I think some things have changed, and there is in fact a lot of demand, perhaps not from farmers themselves, but from entrepreneurs who are buying the harvesters to rent out their services. So that seems to be the business approach that.
That's what I said about business model. The right business model here, it's service provider model. Simit is one of the advocates of making every investment to service. So this is a machinery. If it becomes service, it becomes affordable. So that's why. Yeah.
All right, great, thank you. And obviously, we brought in the question of AI, which was also in my mind. And thank you for bringing that up. Perhaps others will also share with us. Okay, now we have Dr. Asaduzzaman, former research director, Bangladesh Institute of Development Studies.
Good evening to you all. I must congratulate the CPD for holding this Climate Week event. I think 3 or 4 weeks from now there will be the next COP30 in Belém in Brazil, which will be discussing some of these issues also that we are discussing today. And also the other sessions that have gone on, I think those will also be, many of those will be discussed. And so it's a very timely event, I must say, that for raising awareness and also for getting prepared to whatever might come in near future by way of the deliberation that will happen in Belém. When I got the program, I thought that I will be almost at the end, and given that CPD has given guidance on whatever they would like us to talk, I thought that it would be an easy part for me because most will be talking about all those things, so I will have only a little to say on that.
So you're disappointed?
No, I am also invigorated in a sense because I didn't really think that the way it had gone on, not exactly through the guidelines of the CPD, but a lot of experience from the field on the basis of private entrepreneurship, donors, and also NGOs and all that. So it's a variety of experiences that we hear. Whether all of these can be exactly identified under climate smart action, that may be debated. That is a different thing. But that it had been quite a lively experience, we must say. And some of these will, of course, one way or other, possibly come under climate smart action. In fact, that's why I thought that when I first looked at the program, I thought that I would be speaking more about whatever is happening globally, which may have implications for us. And I'll be mainly saying that, but still, that given that there had been so much I have heard here now, and not so much of the science and all that, but actually how people are handling it, both at those who are activists and those who are the farmers. See, climate change affects agriculture in a way which no other human system is affected. And agriculture and food, basically if you consider food, that is, without that none of us can live. Yet, unfortunately, from the very beginning, there had been little discussion on how agriculture is affected. Everybody has been talking about mitigation, adaptation, blah, 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 all these sort of things. But now exactly how agriculture is being affected. Of course, the agriculture in Rwanda and agriculture in Bangladesh and agriculture in Azerbaijan are not the same. So there are all kinds of things. So this is very, problematic to discuss global agriculture as a way. But that generally everywhere what happens is that basically two things happen under climate change. One is the trend rise in average temperature, the trend rise. There may be fluctuation from year to year, season to season, all those. And sometimes actually the fluctuation becomes larger and larger as it goes up. The other is uncertain precipitation, the actual source, the real source of water that we have. And that ultimately what happens is that given the temperature, it is the water issue which becomes extremely important everywhere in the world for agriculture. Untimely availability of water. In some places the quality of water is not good, does not become good, salinity, all those kinds of things and all that. In some places too much of water, not at the right time, but at the worst time, too much of water. So what happens is that the farmers has to adjust to those changes. And when they adjust, they try to adjust, they cannot do it on their own all the time, particularly in countries like Bangladesh where farmers up to 1 acre of land, only more than 50, I think 50 to 55% of farmers have at most up to 1 acre of land. It's not Brazil where you have hundreds of acres. And the small farmer is perhaps hundreds of acres, have hundreds of acres. So it's quite different. So the capability, the capacity is much less here. That is one thing, that the withstanding risk becomes too much. So given that the temperature rise itself creates problem, as we have heard from somebody, that how temperature rise had created problem, that the fruition didn't take place. It also creates problem for, I think, right after me, perhaps the person from Rice Research Institute will be talking, and they would be knowing more from the scientific side, that exactly that even within the same season, different varieties respond differently to heat changes, the temperature changes. And is it possible for a farmer who is having 3 types of paddy in the same in 3 fields side by side, that to respond to the differences in the response of the plant? I think this becomes too much to ask for. Issue is then how do we generalize the response so that we can do it better than before. Now, when we go to the international arena, we find that, as I have said before, agriculture was not given much of an attention. In 2017, the two major subsidiary bodies, the subsidiary body on implementation and subsidiary body on scientific and technical advice, SUBSTA, under the UNFCCC, the COP, they had a joint work program, the so-called Coronavia joint work on agriculture. And what it did, mostly it looked after the livestock economy agriculture. Australia, Kenya, and Uganda and all those kinds of places. Not the crop agriculture, rice and wheat, which matter in most countries. Okay. Then in 2022, this had been updated to the so-called Sharm el-Sheikh joint work on agriculture. It taking off from where Coronavia work had ended, but this time with more emphasis on food security, clearly, and as a part of just transition. This is another change. The just transition has become the real buzzword, that the transition will have to be just between countries, within society, and between the regions within the same country. So that is something that has come up, but it's become then much more difficult. You see, even within the small country like Bangladesh, how do you respond to a particular problem in Narsingdi and the same problem in Satkhira are not going to the same? I think somebody said that also, that they are having different kinds of experiences in different places. So the adaptation to a particular problem, the same problem, in two different places might be quite different. Is it so easy for any administrator or a scientist or an extension agent to work under such a condition, or for the farmer to respond? The issue is then, what do we do? And that is something that I think some people are talking about, and the issue of insurance also came up somehow. And the new thing that has been introduced now is the so-called the parametric insurance. I don't know yet much about this. I heard only about this a few days back. And then I found that the Bangladesh National Adaptation Plan itself also has talked about somewhere about parametric insurance. Whether they have done that with understanding what exactly it means or not, that I don't know. But the issue is, it has been mentioned, that's what has been said. I will be taking a few more minutes. And then, when, as I have said, the Sharm el-Sheikh joint work, it has an online portal. The issue is that you tell about your own experiences, that exactly how you are handling it. Is there a lesson for some other country for this? Or that can you ask for solutions to your problem? Now, when we have I checked the online portal, quite a few countries have given their views on their own agriculture, their problems and that. One of the few countries which is missing is Bangladesh. And now I hear from here, within this room, the kind of good experiences that we have. If not the bad experiences, we can at least put up the good experiences, that this is how we are trying to do it. How do we multiply it several fold? That is the issue. And then comes the issue of finance, the other support, but the capacity building in terms of human skill and institution. And in FAO, I think in June 25, there had been the meeting of the Standing Committee on Finance of UNFCCC, which had clearly mentioned, I think this is perhaps the first time, very clearly, that this will take all measures for financing agriculture and food security. I think such a clear-cut I think, views I have not seen before. And one of the reasons is actually it is the people, the countries who are to blame. I remember I had been a government delegate for very long for the government, and still for this Belém also, though I don't know whether I'd be able to go. I'm also a part of the government delegation. I remember in about agriculture, when we talked about this, that let us try to raise this issue of agriculture in a way so that we are supported. And some of the countries, including one of our neighbors, big neighbors, objected. Their view was that if we talk about this, then they would be telling us that agriculture will have to mitigate, it will have to lower emission, and that if we do that, then we would be food insecure. You see? But I said that this is not that right now you have to do it. You have to, the science and technology will have to be developed so that you do not become food insecure while at the same time you can mitigate. And on the issue of mitigation, this is my last point that I would like to raise, is the issue of AWD had been raised by somebody. And this had been raised both also by the NAP and the NDC, and the NAP and the NDC of Bangladesh. In case of NDC for mitigation, methane emission reduction, and in case of adaptation for raising irrigation efficiency. Unfortunately, for so many years AWD had been there, but it had not taken off. If it had taken off, only a small places because of very intense pressure and things like that. The reason is, and this is something I must say, for in all the cases, this is the problem, this type of problem, the structural problem that we have. The pricing of irrigation water in Bangladesh, particularly in shallow tube well irrigation, which is the mainstay of irrigation in Bangladesh, it is based on the area of land. So much money for 1 bigha of land or 1 acre of land, no matter whatever water is needed. Then why the hell do you bother about? If you do AWD, you have to put all those pipes, go every day and look at it, whether the water is there or not. All these kinds of problems. If I have given 2,000 taka, finish. I have given 2,000 taka. So the one way out of it, and some countries have, including China, had experienced on this also in Latin American countries, that what they call payment for ecosystem services. That the water seller, the water buyer gives a lower price, but the condition is he will have to practice AWD. At the same time, the water seller loses money, so he will have to be compensated. The compensation is through public subsidy, which is called payment for ecosystem services. My view is that if we can do that, we can ask for this money from the UNFCCC, that we will be doing this. Somebody, I think one of the sessions had been on carbon trading and things like that. This is something like that. So what I'm trying to say is that there are structural problems, also there are solutions to this, but the solutions are not institutionally that easy. Handling that becomes the most difficult part. And institution, administration and that, I think most of you know far better than I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Asad. Very interesting point, especially your last point actually makes one think a lot about where the constraint really is. We have the technology, it's proven, and it needs tweaking, but that becomes the critical bottleneck, which we have seen before as well. Okay, so technically we should have finished by now. It's 7:03. This session should have ended 3 minutes ago, but I think we still need a few more minutes, probably about half an hour. So let's go quickly over to our next speaker, Dr. Kamrul Hassan, Professor, Department of Horticulture, BAU. Can you finish in 6 minutes, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everybody. I'm basically a professor, so I do
some research, and I also teach. And I contribute to produce graduates, especially and they are working in the field of assuring food security in this country, Bangladesh Agricultural University. And just I would like to share some of my experience because many things already discussed. I am not going to repeat things. Recently, because food security is important issue in our country, but without food safety, we can't assure our food. So very recently in our university, we have included a new degree that is called BSc Honors in Food Safety Management. I was a consultant with FAO, and with support from FAO, then Bangladesh Food Safety Authority, and Dublin Institute of Technology, Ireland, because they are the leader of food safety in the world. And we together actually developed the course, and it's implemented, and 2 batches already graduated. And another information I would like to share that Master of Science in Food Safety Management also installed with the support from Wageningen University and Research, Netherlands. And this is an important issue. I also want to mention that agriculture in Bangladesh made commendable success. We all know that. And one other issue I'd like to mention that what about the nutritional status of the people of this country now, right now? Around 20% of the children less than age 5 years are still stunted. 10% are wasted. There are deficiencies in zinc, iron, and vitamin A. Anemia is there. So nutritional, these are the indicators in our country. So you have to improve the situation. Another important issue I would like to share that what is the level of consumption of food, because we very often claim that we are self-sufficiency in cereals, and it is also reflected in our data that we are consuming right now around 360 or so grams rice per day per capita. But our requirement is like 350, so we are close there. But what about, because I am a horticulturist, I deal with fruits, vegetables, ornamentals, medicinals, aromatics, and so on. So fruits and vegetables are very important for our daily diet, you know that. And as per FAO and WHO recommendations, we need minimum 400 gram fruits and vegetables per day per capita. So we need 400 gram fruits and vegetables per day per capita. It is a joint recommendation by the WHO and FAO, but our requirement is what at the moment? It is like 297 grams. We are lagging behind. But so what we need? We need both. We have to emphasize on increasing productivity. At the same time, we have got another issue. Our fellow discussants already mentioned that we have got food loss and waste. Because I am a food loss and waste expert, I did a lot of research in this sector, and FAO funded me 3 mega projects to assess food loss and waste in Bangladesh across the food chain. And in 2010, we published a research where we found that our food loss was like 24 to 44% for fruits and vegetables across Bangladesh in 2010. And that we again assessed in 2021, and it is like 12 to 32%. It is not only for horticultural crops, but it is for cereals, meat and meat products, fish and fish products, and all kind of foods. So it seems that a little bit of decline in terms of food loss in our country, but it's still roughly 1/3 of our total food is actually lost. So it is an important issue as well. So, the thing is that we need 2 things. Number one, we need to increase our production. At the same time, we need to reduce our loss and waste. What we have found, waste is another part. You know, waste and food loss and food waste are two different things. Food loss actually is very high in the developing country like us because it is related to technological interventions like storage, improved storage facilities, transportation facilities, packaging, sorting, grading, and so on. But waste is actually much more in the developed world. And we have done a research because our chairman, moderator, has mentioned that we need to share some of our research experience. So what we have done, we have assessed the waste level, that is food waste, across the population who are a high income group, medium income group, and low income group. And we have found that it is highest in the case of high income households. And they actually throw away more than 2 kilograms of food per week. And this is another data we have got in Bangladesh, yeah. Because we don't have much data for our waste. We have got data, some food loss, but we don't have much data for our waste. So first time we have generated this data with support from FAO, USAID, and European Union. We also assessed this food waste in the restaurants, different types of restaurants. You know that in Dhaka city, they have got A+ restaurant, B, C, okay. So waste is there. So another issue that, because we don't have much time, climate smart agriculture, it is all about increasing productivity, increasing economic growth, and also less impact on your environment. So there are a number of climate smart technologies for agricultural production in Bangladesh, which has already been discussed. I'm not repeating it, but I'm going to include few things. For example, there is vertical farming. Vertical farming includes hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics, then rooftop gardening. There are many sorts of technologies for horticultural productivity increase. Those can be extended in those areas. And also there is another important issue I'd like to mention, that is irradiation, another technology that is, we have got a lot of different technologies for increasing production, but we need some technology for reduction of our post-harvest loss, because 30% loss is huge. So if we can, because our SDG 12.3 says that we have to reduce our food loss and waste by 50% by 2030. So this is our very important issue. So we have to put more emphasis on reduction of food loss and waste. Recently we have conducted research on, it's a high-tech research. It is irradiation. Gamma irradiation is a proven technology. Okay, okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot of interesting things, but let's, some of it has already been discussed, but the point of wastage is well taken, was also mentioned earlier. But I have some reservations about that, but maybe we will discuss it some other time. Khalikuzaman Shaib, Director General of Bangladesh Rice Research Institute.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, thank you, the moderator and my fellow colleagues. Actually, lots of discussion happened since the, I should say, the evening, afternoon, and lots of merits and demerits also discussed in this meeting. And I should say some of the hope of the Bangladesh Rice Research Institute, that how we work. That's, you know, there's, as you know, there's presently rice is in our country produces 40 million, more than 40 million per year. It's now third of the world ranks in the rice production after China and India. And that's making hopes. And what we do for this, actually, we develop a plan that's we call the doubling rice productivity, and where we identified several things. One is the varietal improvement. That's for this we develop almost 4 million of advanced breeding line. That could be all our breeding materials are there. The paddy production yield potential is above 7 tons up to 12 tons. Then it's a hope for us. And other than this, we can some scope in this space that's is mentioned. This we little bit production we can give the some fallow land, that's in the Borisal region, also the hill areas and some silt belts we can do. And other things that they already mentioned, Onil already mentioned, there's the intervention of the crop patterns intervention, some improvement of some varieties. That is the hope we can do. Our production, if we do our research as the same way as you are, then up to 2050, we need about 48 million tons of rice to feed our people. That we achieve, if we do rightly as we plan, it could be achievable to feed up to the 2050. But the risk is there, as I already told, this the methane emission comes in the rice field. And as we think, that's the, if we consider the global concept of Bangladesh is just contributing only 0.56% of the global it's not just only 0.5%, and out of this, rice may be 10 to 12%, maybe. It's dependent on the data. Also, we do not have perfect data on this. But even though we have lots of mitigation, that's already we discussed in the. I'm not going to tell over those things. But apart from this, the urea, as Dr. Jahangir, Professor Jahangir already told this. There's a urea volatilized, but if we have the technology, urea depletion, even just peeled urea, we can develop a machine to develop it, peel to those things in a deeper place. That could be reduce our greenhouse gas emission. And apart from this, already discussed, but the social problem is there. But we have also other techniques. But the scope is, there is scope, the direct seeding. If we allow direct seeding, that reduce lots of emission. But and again, the problem is the land area. Again, the farmers are not hesitant to do this. But even areas not that much area in our country, but there is scope. And apart from this, we develop lots of climate resilience varieties. So far, we developed out of 121 varieties. We have about 38 varieties that are climate resilient. That's all are the flood, salinity, water stagnant, and blah blah blah. And showing this, and we have already developed the. Say need to develop the selection. We already developed, but need to piloting those things. The precision is a deep irrigation, precision irrigation, and AI-based irrigation. That's we develop, but I need to introduce in the pilot within the farmers field. But that needs actually financial help for donor as well as the Bangladesh government policy. That needs for introduce this sort of things, the financial subsidy. And actually, that's the climate smart and the climate resilience is mostly depend on the as our farmers is not the habituated and to reduce those sort of things, and we need to convince them either by subsidy or by advocacy or awareness building to them. And we are giving the subsidy, but if we give the subsidy, how much, if you irrigate it like a AWD system we apply, we may include subsidy to the specific farmers to that. That could be helpful in the farmers to mitigate those things, to adapt to those things. And apart from that, they already discussed this, the problem in our country, the waste loss, not only the post-harvest loss, also the pellet, what is called the pellet, field loss, post-harvest, and the pellet, table loss, that is table loss. Well, not only the table loss, also the huge amount, as you told, that's you have data, but it's the huge amount of we lost. That need to be addressed to, food is for, not for us, it's global food. If you, what is called, if you just save one mode of food, that could be surplus to the other person. And in our country, other problem with this transportation is another problem. There's so especially the food, all the also the time of when the food or the basket the investment need in transportation, and this is especially coal van, and with very low technologies is there, but need to intervention with the some people so that farmers can get benefit, and that's need actually in a way the participative gender need to be introduced in a way that's sometimes in our country there's a female are more influencer than the male farmers in certain cases. That the decision making also need to consider, and there's need combine the training or capacity building in a such a way the group discussion where male female should be engaged in a way that technology benefit can get by the farmers in a sustainable way. And other things actually that's as it already the Samsunar also mentioned lots of things. That's the aggregation, support, that sort of things. I am not going to discuss those things. Actually, finally, if we, in a nutshell, if you say few words, that's the need globally or sustainable agriculture and we need a collaboration. It's not only Bangladesh, it may be in global way, to collaboration to make sustainable climate smart practice in the integrated policy maker framework.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. So we have covered all the designated discussants. We'll take a few questions if there are any. For those who have been here waiting patiently. Any questions from the floor?
Excuse me.
Please.
This is may not be a question, rather a comments to add on. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and the panelists. This is Muhammad Harun al-Rashid. I work for Lighthouse, a civil society organization, particularly working for many other aspects, including agricultural, ICT-based agriculture practice for the farmers. It's a new initiative we have started. It's particularly, we have seen this in agriculture department has had so many things in their web page, and they have a lot more things to develop, and having in the field level is a good structure of people is over there. But considering the discussion here, we found that the next generation of farmers, so we need to, particularly for the young farmer, we need to do something like this. We are considering providing ICT training. So this is an initiative, and we are actually identify the son and daughter of the elderly or the senior farmers, and we are providing training and giving some like tab and giving some apps so that they can teach their fathers and their other parents or neighboring the club members. So this is one thing I would say this, we have got some revolution, that's a transmission of ICT knowledge to the farmers. While we discussed, there's so many things in the web page of agriculture department, but they were afraid. It's many things is there, but I cannot operate or I cannot have the access. But nowadays, this is an opportunity for them. So one thing it is an inspiration for us. Another thing is we have seen this, while they are getting picture from the real problem from the field, this what are the disease or what are the infections between their crops, they are capturing this picture and sharing there among the groups. And then is there anybody what are the disease or what are the infections about it? These other farmers or the other friends of them, they are replying, this is this type of like disease. This is a sharing an opportunity. It's getting a learning. I'm also field of like public health. I've also worked with a human rights activist. In this field, I spent like 25 years. But in the last 2-3 years, I've been involved in the agriculture field in these days. This is I'm also learning and getting inspiration. Maybe it could be initially we are working in Bogura and Natur districts in the two Upazila. We are planning to scale up with this in support with the Department of Agriculture. Thank you very much, distinguished. All these guests, we learned many things from you people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we can now conclude. I will not go into a very detailed summary or summing up, but let me just say that I noticed that there are things that we have to do at various levels. For example, at the policy level, what is the goal? Is our goal self-sufficiency? If so, is it self-sufficiency in all food, some food, or which foods? I've noticed that today in our discussion, we did not really say self-sufficiency in rice or potato. Most of us did not identify any particular item. Somebody talked about maize, somebody talked about, broadly about food. So, I think we will have to come to a decision on, what our agricultural goals should be. And that must come from policymakers. Then at the farmer level, we have the whole issue of, you have technology. We have a lot of technology out there. There are issues with regard to adoption, issues with regard to, for example, maintaining technology and servicing technology and so on and so forth. We have issues with regard to financing, with regard to affordability and access. So all these issues, this is at the farm level, but who is looking after that? What are the policy parameters here that would help us to overcome these problems? So that's another different ball game. Then we have this, again at the farmer level, we have this whole issue about wastage. And I don't know whether farmers themselves think they're wasting food, or is it just those of us who are looking from top down and saying, hey, there's a lot of food being wasted. And we see that the wastage percentages that we come up with, this varies a lot, 12% to 40%. It's a huge variation. So we need to have a better, which means that we don't really know. We think it's significant, but we don't really know how much, right? At the consumption level, again, we have issues related to, at the consumer level, we are not interested in, macro level understanding of food security, but we want to know about nutrition, access to good food, safe food, so on and so forth. And it's not just rice, because now I think people's aspirations have gone up. We have to also understand that, in terms of our, what should I say, our physical attributes as Bangladeshis. We're one of the shortest people in the world. We are, right? And everybody else has overtaken us in the region. The Koreans, they've added 6 inches or 7 inches to their average height. At least 5 or 6 inches to the average height in one generation, basically. So we have to understand that we are really at the bottom of the ladder in terms of our nutritional standards. We are consuming too much carbohydrate, we have too much rice, and then we complain about methane, right? So this is, but in all our discussions, we are just carrying the same standard into the next generation. But maybe we have to, make some, serious decisions about the nature of our food policy and food security that we want for the next generation. And maybe here, AI can help us. I'm a great believer in technology. I think AI is descending on us very rapidly. We're not really aware of how rapidly this is happening. Maybe in 10 years' time, we won't need farmers. If not 10, at least 20 years' time, you're not going to need any farmers to produce food. It's going to be done by AI. So with those sort of, I don't know, thoughts from my mind in terms of the emerging future, which is not too far away, but the huge changes that we might be seeing, not just in climate, but in many other things, including in geopolitics and international trade. So with those words, I'd like to thank CPD and the sponsors for organizing this and for bringing us all together. And I'd like to thank all of you, the discussants, for sharing with us your valuable knowledge and insights. Thank you.